Hello, Will. Can you hear me?
Yes, Pastor.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yes, Pastor.
Nice. So we got it working today.
Mhm.
All right. So for all those who are watching, this is Will, originally from our Manchester branch. He will be sharing his real life story today. And Will, you have a lot to say, isn't it?
Yes, Pastor.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
Yes.
ask you to kind of raise up your voice
Okay.
a little bit. Raise up
All
your
right.
voice so
Yes,
that
Pastor.
everyone can hear you. So take us back because you are a former Crystal Palace Academy football player, right?
Yes, Pastor.
Take us back before your life changed, before you became who you are today, completely different, happy, doing
Yes, Pastor.
well with your life. Take us back. How was your life before, Will?
So I grew up in a family where I had my mom, my dad, my little brother. My family was really nice. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. I can hear
Okay.
you.
And then I had developed my talent for football. Started football at a young age, and then I started to play. And my dad, obviously, my family was supporting me, and I was continuing to play. And from there was I was leveling up. And as I started in primary school, that fame quickly became there, and my teachers loved me, and life was good. I had an experience in year one with a girl, and it really opened up my eyes. Then I started to have girlfriends in primary school, girlfriend after girlfriend, and I would do stuff with them. Even at the young age that I was, how old was I? I don't know how old you are in primary school, but year four, year five, year six, and then when I got into secondary school, that was when the whole everything changed because I was in a class where it was like 30 people in my class, and then going into secondary school where I was the youngest, and I was just seeing so many girls, so many people, and then from there I went to my first party when I was 12, and we used to call it Shub back in the day. So went to my first party, and that's when I said no because the the attention that I would get from it, the girls that I would meet, the girls that I would do things with at the party, it triggered something in me. It gave me this kind of joy, this sense of acknowledgement, and then that's when the addiction came. I couldn't not go to a party if there was a motive. I had to be there because I loved the attention that it gave me. When I would do things with girls, they would like video and put it on Snapchat, and they would gas me up, and I would love it because imagine all your peers, all the people that you're around giving you all that attention. It was something that I fed off. And there was times when like my parents wouldn't let me go to parties, and I'll be throwing tantrums in my house. I'll even cry faster like because when I didn't have that, I was empty. And going into secondary school, that football thing continued. So scoring goals, getting man of the matches, I started becoming known in the school, in the area. So I had that security from the older people that were in school. So they would like, for example, when the elders would try and beat up the youngers, they'll be like, leave this one because he's a footballer. If that makes sense. And then moving on, that addiction to girls started to come. I started doing things with girls before school, during school, after school. I was someone who would manipulate girls, like womanize them, and it was so wrong because I would, even though like they were pure, like everyone at that age is young, but me, because of the experiences that I had, I would manipulate them and change them from that purity into do things for my benefit. And then moving on, in school there was, I would say, in year 7 to year 9, there was this stage where everyone was just rude, like everyone had their own fault, if that makes sense. So I don't know, everyone had their own nickname, but it was a flaw, if that makes sense. So mine used to be hairline. So my hair, um, everyone used to call me hairline, and it was something that really got to me. But I wouldn't ever like tell anyone that. But instead, what would I do? I would reverse it. So I would be really, really rude. So whenever people would cuss me, I would be really, really rude. But when I got home, I would post pictures on Insta, post pictures on Facebook. And if I didn't get a certain amount of likes, I would think that was ugly. We used to do group rates back in the day. And if I didn't get higher than an 8, it's game over for me. Like I would really go into a show thinking that I was ugly. I didn't have that self love about myself. Didn't value myself, and that's why it led me to moving to more girls, if that makes sense. Because I never saw myself, I never valued myself, so I started to move the girls more and more and more. And then it got to year 9 when I got signed for Crystal Palace, and that's when doors began to open. So my name was everywhere, got really big. I was going to more parties. I was linking more girls, and you would think that my life was great, Pastor. Honestly, if you looked at it externally, playing academy football, getting girls, going to parties, staying out late, getting home safe. I mean, there's nothing that you would say that would be wrong. Until the following season, I had a big knee injury, and from that knee injury, I couldn't play football. And what happened from that? I was really, but really down. Like, I don't want to like throw the depression word about. I don't like throwing it about, but I was really down, like, because something my football identity was stripped away from me because I had to be on crutches, and it was terrible. But what happened from that? All the other addictions that I had with the girls and the party started to intensify. So I don't know how, but I would go to the parties with a crutch. So like, I'll have the crutch with me, and I would go to parties, and I would want to do things. I would want to get that attention because I wouldn't have it. I'll be at home. I wouldn't get that football attention that I required to make me feel good, to make me feel happy, if that makes sense. And then after that,
this led you to be depressed, Will. The fact that you got this injury, you couldn't play football. So what was football like your God?
Pastor, football was it was really deep in the sense of, like, if I would win a game, I would be on top of the world. But if I lose, for example, if I was to lose, no one would hear from me. Like, I would put my foot, like, no one would hear from me. If I was to go to school, I would carry this screw face. And I think people from my school might be watching now. I would carry this screw face. No one will speak to me. I would just be there. No one chat to me, if that makes sense. It was something that, because I was so good at it, I wouldn't even say because the talent made me happy, but it was just the recognition that I got from it made me really happy. And yeah, when I got injured, it was like, it just stripped me away. Half of me was
So
all of me was
would you define it as being depressed? Did you become depressed? I know you said you don't like to throw the word depression around, but is that what you felt? Would you say that's what you felt?
I was really empty. Like, I had nothing. But like, football, something that I grew up with, something that has led me to that point in my life, and for it to just go like that, it was just a split second where I got injured, and that was it. Like, that was me. That was my life coming to like a standstill, if that makes sense.
So what led you? Because you know, even on your video promo leading up to today, you mentioned that you were in coma. That's serious. Why were you in coma? What happened?
So there was this altercation. So it was really silly. It was really silly beef that happened with a group of people from Woolwich and a group of people from Catford. So they will come to Woolwich when we had parties in the area, and then it would be like an act of pride, if that makes sense. So who was most on, or who was most dominant, if that makes sense. And through them coming to our parties, they would like take all the girls and something. That's something that the people from Woolwich weren't really happy about. So there was ongoing beef. So I went to France the week before it happened. So when I came back, I told my mum and dad, listen, I don't well at tour. I'm going to be going to a barbecue on Friday and a party on Saturday. So bearing in mind, I kind of knew what was going to happen. Like, I knew something was going to kick off. But because I've been going to parties for like 2-3 years, nothing's really happened. Before I got injured with the knee injury, I would go to parties on Saturdays, wake up, go to get home late, wake up early in the morning to play football, and I'll be fine. So it was something that I was used to. So I would continue to go. So I wasn't really worried. I said, if anything happens, nothing's really going to happen to me. So went to the barbecue on Friday, even more of a anticipation that something was going to kick off, but I brushed it aside. So then went to the party. Party was going smoothly. You know, doing my usual, setting pace. You know, the girls, everything. So as I was going home, this is the bit that I don't remember. This is something that my friends told me at the time. So it was a thing where I left the party. So everyone left because the party got locked off, and then they were hiding. So they were hiding. I don't know where they were hiding. I believe they were hiding in bushes. So they came from behind. So they hit me from behind, and then as they hit me, they were chasing everyone else with knives and stuff. So as I was alone, like the injury was so bad that I was out cold. And it was only by God that these girls that were cleaning up at the party, they walked out to where I was and they saw me. So when they called the ambulance, I started to have seizures, and I was supposed to go to Queen Elizabeth Hospital, but then they had to transfer me to King's College. Then I had an immediate surgery, and then I was in coma for a couple of days, and then I woke up.
We even
And
have a
in my
picture here. I'm sure there's a picture shared here. How deep the injury was. So you were
that's why
actually in coma. This is serious, right?
that's why
How
that's
long
why.
for? Do you remember?
No, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure how long, but I believe it was a couple of days. It wasn't either a couple of days to a week. I'm not sure, but it was quite bad, Buster.
Wow. Did you? So in other words, you were close to dying. You almost died.
Literally. And if I died at that point, and the thing is, yeah, I grew up in a Christian home, and I would go to church. So in my time when I was injured and I was down, I was low, I was depressed, I was going to church. Like my mom would wake me up on a Sunday, and I would go to church. I would pray. I would pray for God to heal me, if, for example, with my knee injury. But if I died in that moment, I would have gone to hell. I would have gone, and everything would have been done, if that makes sense.
Wow.
So yes, Pastor.
Wow. So that was your that was your life, right?
Yes, Pastor.
Girls, party. You are a star on the rise. How old are you, by the way?
Yes,
What's your age now? How old are
I'm
you?
20, Pastor.
You're 20 years old.
That's fine.
So
Yes,
you got
Pastor.
signed. You got signed to Crystal Palace at what? 14? 13?
13, Pastor.
13. And how long did you play for them for?
So I got released at 18.
So you got released at 18. So 5 years. 5 years.
Pastor.
Okay. So you're on the star on the rising. Your future ahead of you. Girls, money. Were you addicted to anything?
So that's when I would say the hardest addiction I had was because my life went at a standstill when I nearly died. The partying had to like go to stop to an end. So my parents obviously didn't let me out. So I said, okay, so this is time for me to get a girl. Because I said I'm not going to be going out, so I need someone to comfort me, if that makes sense. So I ended up getting a girlfriend, and I actually wanted to do this properly. Like I said, you know what, I'm not gonna have sex till marriage. I want to try to do this one properly. And then I got into like Crystal Palace. So we started the Scholar, and when I said from primary school to secondary school, when my eyes got open. So from secondary school to joining Palace was a whole different level because when you start your Scholar, your first year, and then the second year, and then there's under 23s, and then there's first team. So with that, there was a lot of immoral things in the changing room. Now, I didn't have sex at that time when I went, and my teammates who at the time they would have sex, if that makes sense, and they would talk about it and say, yeah, I've done this with this girl and done it with that girl, and I'll just be there, I'll be like, oh yeah, I done it as well, I was lying. I just wanted to be a part. I would lie saying I had done this with this girl, but I didn't really do it. And because I had it in my mind that I wanted to keep myself till marriage, this thought saying, do it, just do it if you're going. And I was really, I wouldn't say I was resisting it, but honestly, I didn't really want to do it. But because I had that pressure saying, oh, I don't want to be lying. So I ended up falling into the trap. And past, I told you, once I fell into the trap, it was the most hardest thing to overcome.
Yeah, so you
Because
became addicted to it then.
addicted to it. I could
Right.
not. It was really, really bad.
So,
Really bad.
once again, a star on the rising, a former Academy Crystal Palace football player, of course. And obviously, depressed, you were injured, you were in coma, you almost died. Now, take us, super fast forward now.
Yes, possible.
How did you find the VYG, and how is your life today?
So I never really wanted to come to Manchester because it was like the bottom of my list. So I got a opportunity to have a scholarship at this sports uni, but I said if I go from Palace all the way to uni, how is everyone going to see me? How is everyone going to look at me? So I was really fighting. So in pre-season 2018, so pre-season is the summer, so July, August. I went to Romania, I went to Germany to play football. And Romania went really, really well. So spent like a good 10 days there. They said they were going to give me my pro contract. So I came back to London. I went to a few parties. I said, you guys, I'm gone. You guys are going to see me on a plane to Romania in a couple of days. So agent came to my house, sorting out everything, and then got a phone call like a couple of days later that the deal can't go through. So the last resort was to come to Manchester. So I made the decision that, okay, if I come to Manchester, God, this has to be me becoming closer to you, because at the start of the year I wanted to get closer to God, but because I was indulging in the sex and I couldn't get out of it, it was really impeding me, if that makes sense. So I came to Manchester, found a group of friends. I was going clubbing, but I wasn't really enjoying it. And then they, after a match, one of my friends who at the time were in the same accom as me, they invited me to the VYG for Home Better Home, the event. And then, so I brought this fake personality that I had from London to Manchester, because London, you know, for the gang violence and all of these things. So me coming to London, I said, you know what, let me just put on this personality that I'm hard, listening to drill music, etc. And I came, causing so much, not even trouble, but so much noise. I would come in listening to music, and I wasn't really taking it serious, to be fair. Like, the person that was speaking to me was a girl, and I was even trying to move to her. But then,
Imagine you're trying to move to someone trying to help you.
that's fast. It was horrible faster. But so then so I started to come November, started to come to the VYG, started to come to the church in general, and service after service, it was just like, I was really fascinated. I was really fascinated with the things of God. It was really exciting me, and the fact that I actually went to church, it was just something new about not being theoretical with your faith, but being practical. And then I started to take it more seriously. December came, and I was fully in. I was taking part in the fundraising. I was there. Like, I was fighting to obviously convert. And then, but 2 days before I got baptized in water, I went out. So we had like a little Christmas do with my team, and then we went to like a little place to watch Champions League, and everyone was drinking the alcohol. And I said, you guys drink alcohol, I'm going to drink my cranberry juice. So I was already in that mindset, saying, yeah, my life was good. Then they told me to go clubbing, and then I said, oh, what do I do? I don't really know my way around Manchester. So I said, let me just go. I'm not going to do anything. Big trap. Got myself in a big trap. I was surrounded by so much immoral things. And when I was standing outside the club, I said to God, I am not doing this anymore. And that decision that day ignited a flame that God was able to work on, if that makes sense. So
Powerful.
2 days after,
That is powerful. So that day that you were standing outside the club there at Manchester,
yes, Pastor.
that was your decision.
That was my decision. I was cold, and I said, what am I doing here? I said I wanted to get closer to God. What am I doing here? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, so 2 days after, got baptized with water. Then literally, Pastor, from there, when I said about the decision about the flame, God was just giving me opportunity after opportunity to add more fire to that flame. And that's what happened. So I was dived into everything. I was letting go. One of the hardest things for me to let go before I received the Holy Spirit was football. So I had an experience where I thought, because my mind changed. So when I got baptized, my mind changed. I said, oh, I'm going to be playing football for God. But I had an experience, my second game into 2019, where I had a very bad game, very terrible game, missed a penalty. It was horrible. And I got absolutely ripped by my manager. And I got home that day, and I was really upset. And most of the people in VYG in Manchester, they would remember the day that I came into church. And then the next day on Saturday, we were doing like a purpose where we would come and speak about our week. And I came in with a strop on my face. I was angry. I said, oh, what's going on? I said I was going to give my life to God, and why is my football going like this? And so pastor and an assistant, to calm me down, let me know what happened. And then from that day, I made another decision, saying, God, I'm not gonna put anything ahead of you, if that makes sense.
Powerful.
And from that day, honestly, I was letting go internally things that I had. Then it was the 1 week we had, like, I don't know if you remember, we had 1 week of the Holy Spirit. It was like my first ever kind of fast, if that makes sense. I never really knew about the fast or anything like that. And then that was when I received the Holy Spirit. And then from then, it was like it was like I was really able to overcome a lot of things. Like in the pictures, you saw that I had a lot of hair. So a couple months down the line after, I was able to cut my hair, something I never thought I would ever be able to do. And it was something that I was really insecure about. And then when it happened, honestly, since then, it's been like a year and I don't know how many months, but since then I've just been overcoming, adding more fire. And even when problems come, when the rebukes come, when you may make a mistake, the Holy Spirit is there to just keep you going. So right now I'm happy, joyful, big smile on my face, and
yeah, I can see genuine smile. It's a genuine smile, Will. Will,
my
you
life.
know something which is so powerful? We have a lot of people watching today, probably even friends of yours that you play football with, you grew up with,
That's awesome.
and they probably don't know what VYG is about. We have VYG members here as well, of course, and we have people tuned in for the first time, of course. We have also people who are atheists who comes from different religious backgrounds, and they don't know what the VYG is about. They may think that we're speaking about things that are religious here, which is not the case.
Yes.
What's your advice? Coming from a world, a life that brings a lot of money, fame, excitement, girls, women, you know how that life is. I'm not criticizing those, who are living that life. Of course not. But you came from that. What's your advice for anyone right now who want what you have? When I say want what you have, the peace, the joy, the genuine smile, the Holy Spirit, a new life altogether. No longer depressed. You're not in hospital about to die. You're not sick. Go ahead. What's your advice?
There's a conception these days that God is boring. I can assure you that God isn't boring. God is exciting every single day, and the VYG, it helps to. It's full of positive youths that who came from a similar background that I came from, but it's a place for you to really find a new beginning, if that makes sense. Because let's be honest, like all the stuff that you are doing right now, it's not really giving you that genuine, true happiness that you think it gives you. You have to be real with yourself. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. Something that really helped was me going away. Because when I was away in Manchester, I didn't have anyone to distract me. I was just there by myself. And having a alone time with God, you really find out who you are. You really find out who you are before Him. So for anyone watching right now, just take a look at yourself. Take a look at your life. Think, what am I really happy? And then from there, the VYG is here to help. And yeah.
So today, just to finish off and put it in a nutshell. So today, you are a collaborator, about being prepared to be an assistant, right?
Yes, Pastor.
And you're one of the leaders of a team there in Manchester, right?
Yes, Pastor.
Okay. What about everything else? How's your football career going now?
So that the football career is really going well, and something else to add is the fact that when I came to the church and made that decision, putting God first really allowed my football to flourish more than ever. I was really able to not put that much effort as I did when I was at Palace, because when I was at Palace and everything was going wrong, I was trying to work hard, but I was working hard by myself. But the fact now I was able to work hard with God, everything just went like it was I wouldn't say perfect, but everything just was going well. I even had a testimony before lockdown where I got selected to represent England unis. So the best universities in England, you go to do a trial, but the trial fell on 2 Sundays, and I wasn't really going to go on Sunday because I'd rather serve God on a Sunday. So through that, they ended up actually calling me. At the head coach of the England unis emailed me and said that I was going to get a place. So I was going to get a position in the squad to represent England, and we would go and we would play like the likes of Leicester City, Man United. But put that in a nutshell, that's there. Like, it's football's what I do. Like, it's something that I'm doing now, and I'm happy to do it. It's something that God has blessed me with the talent to do. But my focus is serving God, my family. I came home to see them, so Now it's getting them to tune more into the services and
Powerful.
all
So,
of
to put it in a nutshell, although football's there, football was your god before, but now
the
football now is below the real god, right?
exactly. I couldn't put it any better, Pastor.